start out with a moment of silence. Okay, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the introduction. Do you want to introduce our branch manager?
I was going to do that during director's time.
Okay, well, we want to welcome Mr. Walton here, branch manager at Trustees. Thank you for coming. Also soon to be retiring. So on behalf of the board, thank you for all of your work here at the Beacon Library.
Almost 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Been a faithful member of this library. Thank you for all of your work and all of the errors that you've seen in this library. Well, you were literally here when I was thinking on August. Right. Well, that was over here on the last time. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. We look forward to hearing from you a little bit later too. So. All right. Consideration of the agenda amendments. Does anybody have any amendments to the agenda? All right. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as is. So moved. By the Sloan. Do I have a second? Ladies, second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. We'll move on to citizens' time. Seeing no citizens present, we'll move on. Skip number 5, board response to citizens' time, and move on to the consideration of the consent agenda. So on the consent agenda, we have 5 items with various items underneath. We have approval of the draft minutes from the June 2026 Board of Trustees meeting, the acceptance of the June 2026 Board Financial Report and the July 2026 Board Financial Report, acceptance of the June and July 2026 warrant, acceptance of the June and July monthly deposit record, and acceptance of the June and July 2026 fund schedule. Do I have a motion to pass the consent agenda? So moved. So moved. Do I have a second? I have one second. Is there any discussion prior to approval? I have a couple of questions, but I will leave those till the director's report time just about. All right, so all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, so we move on to the director's report.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to start out, we could have did it a moment ago, but I wanted to go. Janet has served us here at the Bluestone branch for 27 years. And it's a, in today's world, that kind of loyalty is extremely rare. Very, very rarely will someone spend almost their entire career at one place. And you have done so much good for this branch. As Barb said, you've seen it through so many years. The staff, there's a lot of longevity in the staff, and I do believe that in a large part that's because of your leadership here. So I just wanted to thank you for all your time. Janet will be retiring on October 1st, but she will be departing us and spending some vacation time after the first week of September. So I wanted to introduce Janet to the board, wish her well on our behalf, and just thank you. Thank you for all this. So I wanted to let Janet have a moment to talk about Google. Either, you become.
In terms of remarks, I
tell you more about that.
So, in addition to great sign-up numbers, we also have a plethora of amazing programs for all ages, including a suffering books event for adults to share about books they read, a gaming night for teens that was so successful that the teens asked for another one, and we added it, which is just unheard of. You know, you're always trying to get the teens to come in and
posted on our jobs page. That closes Sunday at midnight, I believe, so we'll begin the prep work. I'd like to have that person in, fingers crossed, by October 1st. So we're sad to see you go, but I'm excited for you because there's so many things that we put off in life where it's like, oh, I'll have time. I'll have time. I was joking in the zoo yesterday, the branch manager in Hanover. I said, very few people look back on their life and say, man, I wish I'd worked more. That's not really what most people think. They wish they spent more time with their family. They did the travel while they were young and healthy, all those things. And so, wish you well. And I'm looking forward to you having fun.
We're glad.
I'm very excited about what's coming up, because I know, the next person will be something very important. I'm part of the community, I'll be visiting the library, so I'm looking forward to
We'll keep an eye on the file. And also keep an eye, unfortunately, your name's not Barbara, but like at some point, there's gonna be a vacancy on the board that maybe would be a good fit for you with your experience.
There's always our noble friends group that supports this library program.
But there's also a process of changing.
But we're glad we could get you here to speak before you left for the first time. That's great.
So much. I'm ready to go because I'm ready to see it really morning.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.
So the next thing is that Janet mentioned briefly about Googling, but system-wide, summer reading program just ended less than 2 weeks ago. And summer reading is always really exciting to see come, and then really exciting to see go. After 10 weeks of the crazy that happens inside the public library during the summers, it gives the staff for the first time a bit of a break and a breath. Most of our branches are currently on a programming break and through Labor Day, so I'm sure they're picking up and cleaning up over around the system. We had wonderful participation here. We beat all previous records for total sign-ups. We had almost 8,800, 8,796 patrons sign up for our summer reading program, and that's people of all ages. And really what the purpose of summer reading is really to keep engaged those folks that sometimes it's kids out of school. They don't have that extracurricular going on maybe during the summer, so it's engage with them. But it's also just a community. A lot of us take time off during the summer, relax, unwind. So this is a great opportunity, adults and children. So that wonderful participation. As Janet alluded to, we did have a little fun contest this year that I tried out, just to see how our branches would every year historically. And there's one branch that particularly did not like my change, and it's because it was the branch that every single year signed up the most people. And you can imagine which one that is, Allie. It's a real testament to all their hard work. But this year, we changed it around a little bit. And we tried to do some per capita statistics, so we were weighting things a little different. And we wanted to see who was signing people up more as a higher percentage of last year. And so we ended up, then as Dennis said, we took the highest registration total. So we had our Hanover branch sign up the highest increase of population, so the biggest jump in percentage. And then the Mechanicsville Library signed up the most. So congratulations to both of them, but everybody. Everybody worked real hard this summer. We gave a little incentives to our winners, so they'll get a couple $100 of fun money that they can treat the staff to an ice cream social, bagels, whatever. They're going to get to pick what they want, and our program coordinator will coordinate that with them. So just have a little fun with it and give them some fun recognition for all their hard work. We got last month at the end of the fiscal year, we got our state aid award. So the state of Virginia passed its biannual budget, and part of that budget was a $1 million increase in state aid. So state aid makes up around 10% of our annual budget, give or take. This year it includes $1 million extra dollars, which translates to $38,000 extra dollars this month. So that's a big increase in our state aid year over year. Next year they also put in an additional $1 million. So we would hope that we continue to see those increases in that state aid because it allows us to rely a little less on our local partners, but also do more. It gives us that opportunity to stretch with our state.
So is that fiscal year 27 and 28, or are you talking 26?
27 is what we currently have the
Okay.
additional 38,000 for.
Okay.
We expect to get something similar next year because in the state's budget, they increased fiscal 27 $1 million,
Okay.
and then an additional $1 million on top of 27 and 28.
Okay.
So we don't know the exact number yet, but it will be likely an additional significant increase in fiscal year 28. Some staffing updates. We talked about the Goochland branch, the turnover of the branch manager, the acting appointment of the current library assistant who's been here for many, many years, Tracy Anderson, first as an associate and then as the library assistant, for the last, I think, 20 years, almost a decade in that role. We've also had more changes. We have Alan Goodman started on July 1st as our library and information technology manager. He was previously our systems engineer. I reorganized that department to give that department a manager instead of two tiers. So we restructured that position to be the manager. There's a library staff member that's called a systems engineer. And then I also moved the webmaster, who's in charge of everything behind the scenes, into that department as well, to put all the pieces of technology as much as possible into one basket. I also made another change with our Jeff Huff, who was our collection strategy librarian previously. I changed his position, collection and support services manager. He now oversees all of our courier departments, which previously had been someone else's role to supervising that. So I put that under him. The new change with him, and we're currently working with our partners in Hanover and Goochland. One of the problems I found out when I first got in is the facilities work that we do as a staff is largely dealt with at the county level. And what was happening was the branch manager would send a report of something to the county, and then it would just go into a black box. A lot of projects, and I'm going to talk about facilities updates, we're finally making movement on some long-standing projects that have been lingering for years. And it's because of this lack of transparency. Oftentimes the director's office and administration had no idea what was happening at the branches when there was a facility issue. And then we would find out sometimes months or years later that we had this long-standing issue. What have we done about it? Well, we talked to Hanover, and they're working on it. And so I restructured with the focus of facilities are going to be centralized out of admin going forward, and then we're building the relationships and the systems now so that we can follow up, we can keep on top of problems as they come up, and then we can keep prodding. And sometimes the squeaky wheel is getting the oil, and I'll talk a little bit about some of those projects we're finally getting traction on, or we've gotten traction on. So changing Jeff's position has allowed us to put more of a focus internally from admin on our facilities project system-wide, especially those things that are the day-to-day projects. Those things that the branches had a trouble with and issues, we're doing it. One example of something that he's currently coordinating on after a year of nagging Hanover County particularly on is simply putting our locations on a recurring schedule where we're getting carpet cleaning every year, we're getting window washing every year, we're getting things cleaned up. These are basics of property management, and oftentimes they've been neglected for years. In previous administrations, oftentimes we were begging the Friends group to fund those things. And to me, that's not a use of our Friends group. Our friends are wonderful, and we really appreciate them, but proper building management belongs with our partners who own them. So that's kind of a reorganization that happened. Some new changes in staffing. Shannon Hull, which was our previous branch manager at the Atlee branch, took an internal position as was previously the Montpelier branch manager, is now the Atlee branch manager. We also hired Caroline Villarreal, who is the assistant branch manager at Atlee. Previously, there was not two supervisors at that building. All 24 staff members reported to the branch manager previously. And to allow for better communication, cleaner operations, and more specific, what we were finding is it was a lot for one person to manage 24 people, as you can imagine. And things were being neglected. The new communication strategies that I've pushed out to the branch managers, like, for example, they need to meet regularly with all their staff behind closed doors where they're one-on-one. It's an opportunity for coaching. It's an opportunity teaching, professional development, learning. They're not able to do that if they have 24 people. We've done this now at 2 branches, Mechanicsville and Allen.
You're talking here, right?
Mechanicsville has done this as well.
Okay, but previously, I'm using the name of.
Sorry.
Atlas.
Atlas branch manager is hired as of July 1st. Caroline is the assistant branch manager as of July 1st. We also hired Mechanicsville branch manager, Brooke Anderson, came to us from the private sector, but previously she's been a branch manager in Richmond Public. So she came to us as of July 1st as well to Mechanicsville. As of August 1st, we hired Lucy Harvey, who is the Montpelier new branch manager. Then finally, on Monday, we hired 3 new part-time associates, one for Ackley, Mechanicsville, and Rockville. A lot of hiring going on. A lot of new staff coming in the last 6 weeks, so we're really excited about these people bringing in new experiences and coming in to support the staff. It's always a challenge during summer reading because you're busy, and it's always a challenge when you have these vacancies. So we're looking forward to getting the new folks in. The new 3 part-timers that I mentioned are starting on September 1st, and then I talked about it.
Quick question about the time it takes to manage all these hirings and staff changes, would clearly be handled by HR person
Correct.
in the future. Is this all on you?
Correct.
Right. So that's a big chunk of your time.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Just everybody needs to take note of that, because we really need to get this HR person. And I know that's part of the strategic plan.
When we Ace and I have been working on every year's budget, so I won't go into that too much here. We're not going to ask for additional staff members from our county partners, but we are looking at the opportunity with almost $40,000 from state aid in addition. We have changed the way, and I can just mention briefly, this year's state aid, for the first time ever, we're going to take the director's salary out of state aid, which will free up from our shared services budget $136,000 of my salary to now go to the staff we've talked about previously, the outreach services manager and HR manager particularly.
Right.
So those 2 things will then be able to be freed up. We don't have to rely on our county partners because in conversations with them, they're really unable or unwilling to participate in additional staff for us because they can't do it for themselves. So we're just changing the way we do it a little bit going forward in the future years so that we can do that.
Okay, that's great, because I can see you take a big bite on this budget, but I'm out of your time.
Yeah.
Out of your time. And state aid, up to this point, has always been for books and materials, correct? Now, there's nothing that says that's what we have to spend it on.
No, that's correct.
It's just, that's what we just traditionally done.
There are limitations on what you can spend state aid on, but up to 25% of state aid allocation can be used for salary and benefits if it's for a master's degree librarian or equivalent, which I'm a master's degree librarian. So we qualify in all the, anything we need to do, we qualify to do this thing, so we've done.
I figured as much, I was
Yeah.
just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I mentioned the Goodman position is currently up at closes. Next week, the deputy director, I reposted that again. I posted it for 30 days in June. Let me go back and give a little history for people who are listening as well, because I've mentioned this to some degree to the board. When Jamie left in April, I took a few months to reevaluate the position to determine what I really needed in this key role, and I rewrote to some degree the job description, really focusing on somebody who is a great public service manager, really excellent customer service. They're going to be focusing not as much on some of the ancillary projects. I took some of the things that were under the former deputies and took them into myself, or put them into IT, like the webmaster, the program coordinator as an example. So they're going to be focused entirely on managing the public service. They're going to oversee the 7 branch managers. That's going to be their focus. They're going to be hyper-focused on that. When I posted the position originally, I posted it for 30 days, and we just did not get enough strong applicants. So I tweaked the job ad again. We put it out the second time around. We put it out on the Virginia Library Association job page. We put it on the American Library Association job page, and we put it out on the Rural and Small Libraries Association job page. So we're trying to spread the opportunity for people to see this ad and apply for it. We'll see how it goes. We have until right after Labor Day, closes on the 7th. I've gotten participation from the Deputy County Administrator of Hanover and Goochland are both going to participate in my hiring for this position to give the county some opportunity to see and have their say in this choice too. I'm trying to find opportunities where I can rope them into things and make them feel like they belong. So we'll hire for that probably mid to late September, and my hope is this fall we have this person in. So that's currently the.
This position requires the master's, and that's
No.
equivalent.
I eliminated the requirement for it. Now, every job ad we put out that is a librarian position or higher, we put out it is substitutable for education. And the reason is it's not to throw Janet under, because Janet has served as a great leader at this branch for 27 years and does not have a Master's of Library Science degree. The idea that we would intentionally discriminate against that large of a population of people is ridiculous. It is good. So, I've been on this hill for 20 years. It really, I was told early on not to go on a tangent, but I'll go on a tangent because this is just philosophical. Early on in my career, I liked libraries. I got in totally by accident. I got in, and my boss at the time was a very patient person. He said, "You want to move up? You don't have a choice. You just have to go get education." But, I'm already doing the work. I was hired as a children's librarian. And it's because that system was wise enough to say you could have the degree or you could have work experience. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, if you ever want to go into management, you have no choice. You're basically flatlined exactly where you're at. And I knew I wanted to move on from that one day. And so anyway, I went and got the degree, and that's how I got here. But I've always had that in my mind. You're saying to good people they have to go spend money they don't have to, or you're excluding massive portions of the population that have not taken the time to go get the degree for whatever reason. So anyway, tangent, but it really. This is not a new thing. For example, one thing I didn't mention is our new adult programming librarian at Atlee that we hired that will start on September 1st. She's a current library associate there. Currently working on her master's degree. Under the former way we do it, she would have not been qualified to take that position. So this is one example of a time where we can take an opportunity to say to an excellent employee, you are qualified for this one. They were the best candidates, but we would have barred them previously for leaving them on.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Do we have any tuition reimbursement plans that would allow someone that would like to stay within the system and further their education
So,
towards either a 4-year degree in library science or a master's degree?
currently, no. However, Ace has heard me talk about this. We have professional development funds, and my plan in the new calendar year is to put out it's going to be a competitive process, but we're going to take a portion of our professional development funds and say we will reimburse up to $2,000 of your Master's of Library Science or equivalent degree. And in return for that, if you're awarded it, you're giving us some longevity here. Because as the board and I have talked many times, one of my priorities is find those opportunities where we can keep people longer. So every little tweak we can make along the way, we're going to try it. And I was I guess unlucky enough in my career because of my wife's former career. We moved so often I would have never qualified for any of those things. Because you have to give a year of your life after you get the tuition reimbursement or whatever. And it wasn't practical. But it would have made for anybody working on their master's degree a little easier decision. Sometimes to even jump in. I have a staff member that was talking to me about that at the last staff meeting when I went to Montpelier. And they were mentioning that, hey, are you still thinking about the tuition reimbursement? Because I'd mentioned it before. And I said yes, and I'm thinking about starting it after the new year, and here's how we would do it, and it would be kind of a competitive process where people would apply, and then we would select one. And they said to me, this really is kind of the difference between me starting the degree and not. Because right now I'm a part-time position. It's tough to afford graduate work when you're working part-time. So it can absolutely make a big difference for people. It's good for them economically, but it's also good for us because we take somebody, we mold them into what we want, and then we can grow them in their career, which I think all those things are useful.
This is also something that could be supported through the foundation to get to that point with like scholarships.
And I do think that if the demand is high, I may go to the friends and say, would you like to participate in making it so we'll do one and you do one every year, something like that. And I really don't know what the demand is right now. I know there's a handful out there that are currently working on their master's degree, but I just don't know. So it'll be interesting.
I might suggest in terms of that, if the friends would have an interest, that they might sponsor a scholarship program toward a master's degree, for instance, in other things, for this end.
Yeah.
In other words, they would be encouraging and sponsoring and helping to find leadership, the development of leadership from within our team.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right.
Which the friends would do scholarship as a memorial. It's very important for them. So if somebody is really supportive of it, it's very important.
Yeah, totally.
We just finished our new, our first, so I started at the beginning of the summer an internship program. This was designed, once again, to kind of promote internal or external opportunities for people who are in their master's degree at ODU to come to us and do work projects, learn some real practical skills. One of the things I always have counseled people over the years, you learn far more working in libraries than you do from the degree itself. And that's true everywhere. I mean, that's not unique to libraries in any stretch. So this internship opportunity is a real practical way for them to get some real-world experience in a library, but it also allows us, the intern helped us process and inventory all the materials we received from the Hanover County Black Heritage Society. It's currently in the old admin space upstairs on the courthouse, the Hanover branch of the courthouse. So it's valuable for us, it's valuable for them. I have our next intern starting on September 1st. They'll be continuing with that process. They're going to be continuing. We have now the inventory, so now they're going to be processing and helping us store, working with the collections team to kind of, the collections team and I had a meeting early summer as we got all the materials delivered to us, and we really came up with our game plan, and so now over the next many months we're going to begin to make that space available to the public. Those records over time will be made public so that way the community can benefit from those real primary sources that the Heritage Society has. So it's really exciting. So the internship has been going well, and I just kind of wanted to mention that because I have our next intern there starting in 2 weeks.
Wait, interns are free labor?
Who doesn't love that? They benefit from the real world experience, and
It's a win-win.
we get some help too. So it is a win-win.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
it's a great program.
100%.
It's wonderful.
Changing topics entirely. I talked to the architect and the Hanover County folks about the feasibility study. Excuse me. I've had a couple meetings over the last couple months with some Hanover County folks. I met with the budget director recently with the deputy county administrator of Hanover to talk about the interest of Hanover County in participating in some refresh of that space. And what I've said to the architect, those folks at Hanover County, my liaison, the deputy county administrator, Brett Sheridan, who's usually at the meeting, and I said basically there's kind of two tiers of refresh of that space. When they close the building down to do all the work that they have to do, the remediation of the basement, we're going to at least, I'm going to bring to the board for reserve funds to at least do the basement.
cleaned up the carpet, new furniture. I've mentioned to this board previously that some of that furniture has been there longer than I've been alive. And that's not an exaggeration. Meaning it needs some TLC. So we're at least going to do that. But there's some other refreshes that we would like to do to that space, some changes that are going to take a little more participation. We've talked about an elevator. We would love an elevator in that building, and some other things. So anyway, I bring all those up to say, Hanover County, when we met with them, if they're interested in participating, did not say no. That's a fact. So it is possible. So right now I'm working with the architects to get us cost estimates that I will bring to the board and that I will bring to Hanover County, because right now we have ideas of what we think we like for the space, but we don't have any idea of what the costs are. So right now we're working on developing the cost plan, and then we can make some better decisions on what we're going to do going forward with that space particularly.
You had shown us previously evaluation drawings for possible examples of where the elevator might go. And there's 3 or 4 places that you mentioned, but you're pretty much X amount that goes to this threshold or whatever. It wasn't working. Do you have fresh ideas? Because that would certainly facilitate the growth of the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
And whatever you do with that in the future.
Well, I did tell them that we, the board and I, have a strong preference for an elevator, and I wanted them to go back to the drawing board to see if there's other opportunities that we really did not explore previously. I made a suggestion. I don't know if they'll take it. And I basically told them the purpose of that space upstairs, the reality is the demographic who will use a lot of our local history and genealogy resources tends to be a little older. And sometimes, not always, I don't want to overgeneralize, but sometimes that population has mobility issues. And getting up those steps is not easy for people who are half their age. So, I mean, it's just, this is something we would really like to explore if it's possible. And if it's not, we'll live with that. But we really want to exhaust all of our options before we throw out the idea, in my mind.
And the stair lift is absolutely not feasible.
It is.
Too narrow of a staircase?
It is narrow. It's not, it can't be done, but the space would have to be reworked because you can't leave a stair lift, at least in our conversations, because of how narrow the stairwell is. If you have a stair lift added onto the wall, it's going to narrow that space even more. So we would probably have to do some level of work to do something with the stairs there. So it's not no, it's just let's find some other options if we can. So even it's funny, my parents, when they retired in Florida, another tangent, I'll go on another one again. Florida is well known for being a little older of a state, and people will put all the time in their neighborhood, some of them are 2-story houses, some of them are 1-story ranch style. The 2-story houses all the time put in these small elevators. They almost look like the old dumbwaiters that, estates had, where they would wheel things up and down with the little pulleys. And the idea that we can't even do something like that, it seems unlikely to me that not even that could be done. We don't need a big commercial elevator. We just want something where 2 people can get in there, and go up and down.
One person.
Something.
Is that possible? I mean,
I don't know.
You can
I don't know.
get one of those, but
I don't know.
I mean,
But we are exploring options. We are exploring options because to me it would be a really valuable thing to have in that building.
is it possible to do an extra elevator, kind of like hotel suite? What if you went outside? They had.
The problem with this building is anything on the exterior
What about the back?
is it anything on the exterior. We even talked about changing some of the caulking and stuff around the windows and cleaning that up and changing the doorknobs because one of the doorknobs broke. You have to go to the architectural review board for any change, and it's just an act of Congress almost.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mentioned, I teased earlier, a lot of the work that Jeff Huff and I will be working over the next few months to kind of clean up some facilities things. Some great news on some long-standing projects that have been ignored or put off. The Mechanicsville lighting project is currently in the planning stages. So the youth services, as the board knows, the lighting of the youth services area has been dim forever. The lighting they put in there just was a porch light, in my opinion. And so we finally have gotten, we had a meeting a couple weeks ago where I was having conversations with the Hanover facilities manager. Anyway, we're currently in the planning stages of that project, so that project will be done soon. The other lighting project that's been a long-standing complaint is the Ashland Library. You walk into to the vestibule, the hallway, whatever, very dim. They did make that change already, so that has now been updated with brighter LEDs. So we're excited about those two long-standing projects that have been a complaint of not only the staff but of the community for some time.
What about, didn't the tax still have a serious HVAC problem?
Yes, and they have spent a lot of time working with contractors to fix that. It seems to be working well for now, so I will cross my fingers that that is continuing. That system is as old as the building, so in 2000 that was put in.
Wow.
And, you know, it's a big system, and they know it's going to be on the radar eventually. Part of the problem was previously, at least my understanding, is difficulty finding parts for that old system, so they kind of had to do some workarounds and changes, and I'm not sure all the details on that, but it seems to be working as of now. We haven't had any issues over the summer with it. So, yeah. And for a big building like that, I mean, it's a significant system. We're partnering with, I've mentioned this to the board previously, and I'll be attending a meeting coming up in October with Hanover County as well as the Chickahominy Health District, Hanover Fire and EMS, the Office of Emergency Management, and the Family Assistance Plan. The library is going to work with our county partners to be, as part of their emergency planning system, we're going to work as a place where, in case of disaster of some kind, we will open our doors with our county partners, and we can be a facility where people can come in. They can rendezvous with family. They can distribute water or materials. So we're going to meet on that. I've been prodding the Hanover County. They have two large capacity mobile generators that they have, and they can distribute in a crisis. So I've been asking, and they're looking for grants currently to put on the libraries, some of the libraries, particularly in my mind at least, Mechanicsville, Atlee, or Ashland, put on generator hookups so they can wheel those things in, hook up the building, and keep power. Even if something goes down and we don't have power in the neighborhood, we had a power outage this last weekend where it took down Mechanicsville for a half hour, which has plenty of complications to it. But so this does happen, and so working with them currently to find that opportunity, we're going to be good partners with them in time of need for the community. Last thing for me.
Can I just go
Yeah.
quickly ask? What about recruiting?
I've offered. They've not taken me up on the deal, which is,
Maybe we can do it.
well, you know, and maybe they already have things. I don't know. I just don't.
We do have a pretty robust emergency. Yeah, fire and rescue, and that service, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the library already participates.
I did last winter when we had all those crazy storms, and I even offered then too. You know, everything that we do with Hanover, I at least offer it to Goochland.
Yeah. I think Goochland already uses the library facility, you know? Then they must use the high school.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. What is Goochland?
I always offer.
Yeah.
I always offer. The last thing is September is library card sign-up month. So this year we're going to do some fun marketing for it. We invented a holiday, Library Card Sign-Up Day, which will be September 12th. We had new limited edition library cards printed for the occasion. This is a national contest that a lot of libraries are participating in. It's fun, it's different, people like it.
And there's ice cream involved?
If you sign up or renew your card on September 12th, which is a Saturday, we're giving away
What
ice
if
cream.
your card is expired for renewal?
Then, you know, it's funny, we will push people to renew their card a little early. That was gonna be in part of my pitch to the staff. So we want people to sign up. Also, you know, for people who are no longer eligible for our library card, they can purchase a card on this day, get the same thing, so,
That's a great idea.
yeah, we're trying something new. So,
That's pretty much what it's done.
Well, we have to get this all.
you got one, and who doesn't like free ice cream?
So you come to.
Any of the branches,
Any of the branches?
Yep.
Okay, we gotta get this up on newspaper.
we're gonna start marketing it, in a couple weeks, yeah, as we get closer.
Okay. Get that.
Who doesn't love it? We're gonna try it, see how it goes. So anyway, that's it for, that's all I got for director's time. Any questions? That's it. I know.
That's a lot.
I do have a question for you. I do have a question for you, Zach.
Yeah.
Continuing education, what have you done? I saw some expenditures, I think
Oh.
it's wonderful.
Well, it's funny because, at the end of,
Did you also have some continuing education?
I don't think Ace did, but, so for me personally,
It was Jeff.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was
Oh,
Jeff.
I sent, okay. So, in the last 2 months, I sent Jeff Huff, the Collections and Strategies manager, to the American Library Association Annual Conference. I sent him there for one particular purpose that I had that I needed him to do. I would have normally gone to ALA, it's a big annual conference, but because there's no deputy director, the summer was busy, but I needed him to go to shop ILS. Right now, our ILS comes up for renewal in February. And I started talking to our current ILS vendor, Cersei, in April when I was at the Public Library Association conference. And I was very blunt to them. We spend too much on the ILS, and if they're not going to give us a deal, and I mean a deal, not 8%, which is what they offered us on our discount. We spent $75,000 this year on our ILS. I know a friend of mine runs a large system up in Northern Virginia. They just made an ILS change. They paid $220,000 annually for their ILS. They went down to 34. Massive. Some of the quotes we're getting, we can save over 50% without breaking a sweat. I think we're going to save more than 50%. So I sent Jeff to liaise with the vendors that are on site at this conference to look at the demos and to begin that research. We have a meeting on the 30th into next week, to go over the recommendations of his department on what they liked, that they saw. They're going to relay to me the prices, and then we're going to begin making our choices. So, changing ILSs is a pain in the butt. It's like if I took, do you have an Android? I'm taking your Android away, and I'm giving you an iPhone, and you can't touch the Android again. It's a big deal. It's a big change. It's a big change. There's a lot of staff training. There's a lot of cleanup on the back end. We have, one of the things that we're working on, and this is just to get into the weeds way too much, but I'll just share it. We do not, when a patron is no longer active, we keep them in our system forever. We have patrons that have not been active for years, that have fines from 20 years ago. There's a lot of cleanup behind the scenes. That's not normal practice, by the way. Their normal practice would be you have a system set up where your ILS, after 5 years of activity, is generally the ones that I've seen in other systems, where those people would basically be purged through the system. Right now, we have decades of data. We have a lot just of cleanup that we have to do before an ILS is adopted, because when we make the switch over, you can't have all the old stuff there. So it's going to be a big, massive time commitment for our collection staff. But if we can save $50,000 a year, which is likely, it's a worthwhile investment for sure. So, integrated library system. ILS. So anyway, so Jeff went to that. I purchased VLA for myself, the Virginia Library Association annual conference. We did it in the last fiscal year because we had a little funds left over in that budget. We also paid for we are offering the opportunity for 6 of our staff to participate in going to the Virginia Library Association. A couple of our branch managers, a couple of our librarians, and 1 or 2 other staff are going to, it's in Norfolk this year, so they'll get to go represent Pamunkey. A couple of our staff members are participating in, I think one of them is doing a poster session, another one's doing a presentation, so we're excited to have that participation for the folks. And I think the last one was, again, for me, this year I was invited to attend I just joined, and I've already forgotten what they're called. I'd actually never heard of them before. The Association of Rural and Small Libraries.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah. So I'm very new. I've never been to the conference before. I've never been a member previous to the summer. So it's going to be something where I'm going to explore.
Is that a nationwide?
It is. And it's Montgomery, Alabama. So hopefully it's not too hot.
And when is that conference?
September.
Rural
Small libraries.
In 2027?
No, coming up next month.
Okay. And the VOA conference, when is that?
October.
October. Okay. So both still this year?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's kind of the professional development spending you've seen this year. We also did as I mentioned, we advertised on VLA, ALA, and ARSL job lines too. You probably see spending in all those places as well, because we put them up on the job board, the deputy director position up on those job boards. You would have seen those as well. Mm-hmm.
So I have an additional question. I know that our admin week is coming up in October, right? With the potential to extend it.
Yeah.
Where are we at with?
So I extended it through, I negotiated with them, and they gave us an additional year, full year. So we're now through October of 27. No increase in the rent. That'll give us a little more time. I have been talking to our partners in Hanover. There is an option that is on the table. However, there's no money in the budget to make the space currently. It's a school that they're decommissioning, or they've decommissioned. It has to be transferred to county ownership, which has not currently been done. They have to then prepare the space for any such thing. And I think the county government is working currently on figuring out actually what they want with that building. There are theories in the air. I've talked to my counterparts in the Parks Department. It sounds like the working theory is maybe libraries and parks go into that old school. However, nobody in the county has really communicated this. It's the supervisor of that district that kind of puts it.
Well, we do have the Day Park Health.
Yeah.
So I've got big questions tomorrow. The county administrator to lead the community meeting on town with this question. But it's a new bunch of questions about Day Park Health.
Okay.
I know that it's been on multiple places, but have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I've driven through that campus. I mean, I've never been inside, but I have been
I
around
mean,
it.
there is a library in there.
Yeah.
When it was such a big one. It was.
Does the county own the building?
No, it does. I know they own it now. Okay, that was one of my.
Because I know it was state, right?
Yeah, it was state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I remember hearing discussion at the supervisors' meetings that I've been to, but I didn't know where that actually is.
Hopefully, like I said, question. I mean, that is an option. I know that you are.
We never forget about our friends in Coos. Never.
I had one more question, which is one of my questions related to the consent agenda, but because I see Orange Boy come up every month. Do we feel like we're fully utilizing what Orange Boy has to offer nowadays? Or?
We've been using it much more. When I first came in and was looking through the budget, of course, I see, $1,400 a month being spent on this thing called Orange Boy. I'm like, what in the world's that?
If you didn't know.
No, which is not unusual. I mean, there are a lot of vendors out there, and, we could have, they do something that other vendors do. We are using it more and more all the time.
Okay, great.
One thing we're currently working on developing is, right now, a lot of our statistics are done literally on Excel spreadsheets. So we've been cleaning that process up. So we've currently been working on, so hopefully next month or October, we will have the new statistics reporting system in place, which will make Staff's life a lot easier than it is right now. The collection process is pretty antiquated. So we're also doing marketing pushes, like when you get those emails from me saying we're hiring, the newsletters, those are all things through OnPoint. So we're utilizing it in different ways. I'll give you just one anecdote. Is when we had the applications for the 3 associate positions we had posted, we had 250 applicants for those 3 part-time roles. 250. And it's because we push it out. We didn't advertise those positions outside of, sending out, hey, we're hiring. But it's also a great indictment of the fact that people want to come work for us. We had to, we meaning the royal we, was aggressive in the screening process because, 250 applicants is a lot. So, but it's a good thing. So it means what we're doing is working to a large degree. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. We'll move to legal counsel update. Seeing no legal counsel, we'll move on. Standing committee reports, financial committee reports.
Well, we have a meeting on September 10th,
Yep.
which I'll note is 2 days before ice cream day. So just keep it in the calendar.
Yes.
All right. Anything else?
No?
Okay. All right. Moving on to personnel committee report. The chair of personnel committee is not here. Since I was the only one at the personnel committee, I will just report that we did meet earlier this month and had a closed session to discuss the establishment of the FY 2026-2027 performance evaluation for the library director, and we will be addressing that later in the closed session. All right, moving on. There is no old business. New business, we have the remote participation policy, which you have a copy of here in your pocket for today. There are no changes in this remote participation policy from last year, but this is something that we need to approve yearly according to the code. So, do I have a motion to pass this remote participation policy for this fiscal year? So moved. Okay, by Reform, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, second, please, Joseph. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, then I will call for a vote. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, so the remote participation policy has passed for this fiscal year. Moving on to our next item of business, which is election of officers. This is also something that we need to do every fiscal year. The personnel committee, because of the size of the meeting last time, did not have a quorum in order to bring a slate of candidates to the board, so any nominations will have to be made here in the meeting for the various positions, chair, vice chair, and secretary. We also, helping, have we also done finance and personnel committee by a vote as well? In the past?
I don't think we have to, but we have.
Okay. Although membership for those committees is determined by the committee chair.
Right. So we try to make sure that there's representation, well, now there's more two counties, but we always make sure that we have everybody on at least one meeting.
Okay. All right. So are there any nominations for officers for fiscal year 27?
I'd like to make nominations. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
I'll defer to the young lady who's on.
Well, I was going to I would like to nominate Chrissy.
If there's anyone, any other nominations before we go?
But we've been, I will just say what we've done the last 2 months since that was suggested, is we basically take the recording, the webmaster comes up with a transcript, and we put it into the format of the minutes, and then we send it in for effective tweaking from the secretary. So what we've done the last couple times is, so instead of having the secretary kind of take notes as they're going, we take the transcript, we run it through AI, we take the recording, run it through AI, get the transcript, put it into minutes, and then the secretary is tweaking the minutes. So it's not, that's what we've done the last 2 months, or the last 2 meetings.
And that sounds in theory efficient. Actually, in reality, according to our, it requires a rewrite because the motions are not fully fleshed out. We list the motions, we second them, et cetera. They're eliminated. It just takes a lot of work. So I'm wondering if it's possible to have someone present who can make those important notes. I just really don't think it's a good idea for board members to be so distracted. I really think that we need everybody very, very, I know you don't participate in the discussion. I know you do. And I just think it's something that we have to find a better way so that a board member doesn't have to do it.
Okay.
I will say though, that it's hard, I think it's hard for a staff member to, especially tonight. But I mean, you know, you can't do, usually the recording that we do is free. If you don't recognize the voice, don't do the song.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Some of the sounds aren't always picked up.
Sure.
You know, so you get some of that kind of thing. AI, hey, a piece here, people here, put it all together and then zero cents. Now, it sounds, you know, great the way they write it, but it doesn't make sense on what actually happened.
Okay.
You know, so I like having this recording. I'm not saying I don't like having this recording. It's really nice to have. But I also, you know, basically I can recognize the voices. So
Yeah.
I can figure out who's talking. But I go back and rely on my memory. You know, I use my minutes with what's on the recording to see how the things fit together. So
Sure.
I have real many, my husband will shoot me if I say I don't think this is it, but I will. I would rather see somebody come to the board. I know it means you don't particularly hold as much, but I think it's important to understand what being said. You know, being a real integral part of what we do. I also have very strong feelings about the fact that anybody who's on the board is on the board because they are a leader, period. I mean, that's, you know, you're not put on the board like this if you're not a leader. If you are a leader, at some point, you have to do more than just function leading these positions. You need to participate in different ways, you know. Some people are more comfortable, you know, being here, but some people are, but everybody needs to participate in a leadership role. I think at some point during the term, I really feel strongly about that. I just think number one, it's fair to everybody on the board. But number two, we've got the skills. It seems crazy to me that, you know, you have people, and I've been on now, this is starting my 7th year. You know, I've been on the board where there are people that spent 4 years on this board who did nothing except for come to me. You know, so I think it's important for us to reiterate the fact that people need to participate. You know, they need to actually be an active board member.
I mean, there are possibly things that we can do in the way that the meeting is structured to make it easier for a staff member. For example, today I've tried to reiterate who made the motion and seconded it, for example, so that when you go back into a recording, that there is actual evidence that he said it versus a voice, right?
Keep it on,
I'm-
so we can, if we keep keeping it like that, maybe this.
It'll make it a little better.
Yes.
And you know, in defense of what came from the, from the, staff, I mean, they had it laid out, they had, you know, they had picked up, you know, things from each thing. But again, they didn't have names, so they didn't recognize them. And there were some things about motions that were not in there that needed to be in there. And it's all learning curve.
Yeah, it's a bit of a training,
Yeah.
more of a
So,
training.
and that did help. I will say that did help me to go back and, you know, I could, you know, go back and fix them, but the more they do it, maybe the more that I won't have to go back and fix it. And I don't mind fixing it, you know, if that's the big benefit of it. Yeah, if it's truly editing and teaching, that's different than generating, right.
So, and I mean, some of that is also, I know one of Barb's concerns was like how the closed session was written within the minutes, because there are very specific things that have to be in it because of Virginia code, it's like who votes and all that kind of stuff. So, like, but I think that's just a training issue.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, and I mean, maybe we could ask Ace, for example, just to write down like who, so we get into a groove
Well,
of saying, like who says the motion and who, you know what I mean? So
Well,
that
and
there's,
even the last couple of times where I've sent them forward, I did not edit a thing on it. Now, if you're comfortable, the problem I see is like if the director is then like editing your, like, I don't wanna put my fingers in that pie unless you guys.
we get it.
I know, but I guess here's my point, but if you're comfortable with that, I'll do it, I don't care. Like, but
Well,
it's
you
just-
don't need another thing on your plate either.
No,
so
I know,
I don't- yeah.
but like you say though, I'm sitting here, I know what's happening, and so the corrections, I don't think it's a Herculean task, I would hope.
Yeah.
Especially as you say, like over time, if we do things a little differently where we say Barbara Young seconds, and you know, if we kind of illustrate the name so that way it picks up in the transcript more of that, it'll fit.
Yeah, let's make a lot more of a point for that.
Yeah.
And obviously I think that.
Yeah, but we'd like to get to the point where you really don't have to do a lot of stuff during the meeting so that you can.
And I also think, you know, and this may not be the time for this discussion, but I'll just say, these minutes are extremely detailed. Does that need to be? I've seen minutes that are so vague you have no idea. I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying like you could like. I think the record for this year that I've seen is like minutes of like 8 pages or something like that. It's a lot. Do we need that for a 2-hour meeting? No.
Not anymore.
No,
I
yeah.
will tell you, you know, that comes from.
I know.
There's a history.
But we make the recording available too.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, it's like, you know, the minutes are a tool in the toolbox, but it's not meant to be a transcript because you have the opportunity to go in and listen to the whole thing yourself unedited. We don't do jump cuts in this video, it's just put out raw, and you know, so I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
You can do it that way, and we do, you know, you have somebody do the minutes, and then I do the back and the final edit type stuff. I'm willing to do that. I'm listening to writer novel.
Tell them we'll make it better, we promise.
All right, so I believe we have a nomination and second for Christy Schumacher as chair. We have a nomination and a second for Barb Sloan as vice chair, and we have a nomination for Barb Young as secretary. Do we need a second for that with this new structure of?
Yeah, sure, I'll second.
All right, so
Barbara Sloan, second.
Second, yeah. Actually, if you say your name yourself, that's also really helpful. So. Okay, so we have a slate of candidates, with the last year's candidates coming forward again for this year. So, do I have a motion to accept this slate of candidates for the FY '27 year?
I make a motion.
All right, Rudy, could you for that motion? Yeah. Do I have a second? Second. All right, excellent, thank you for that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, seeing none, those are our officers for the FY '27 year. We have also in the past voted on Personnel and Finance Committee. I would like to nominate Barb Sloan to continue as the chair of the Finance Committee.
I second that motion.
I don't know, I can't make a motion. Can I make a nomination?
Yeah, you can make a nomination.
All right, so this is the nomination of Ethan, Katie Berger seconded it. All those in favor of Barb Sloan continuing as chair of the Finance Committee, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, Barb, for being willing to serve again.
Yeah.
And aye. Thank you. All right, Personnel Committee. I would like to nominate Jody McMaster to continue as the Personnel Committee chair for the next fiscal year.
I second that.
Thank you. She is obviously not here, but I have spoken with her and she is open to that for the next fiscal year. So all of those in favor of having Jody continue in the Personnel Committee, please say aye. Aye. All of those opposed? All right. Thank you, Jody, for being willing to serve on the Personnel Committee. Oh, look at that, I got the P before I even realized it. All right, moving on to D under new business, the FY 2026 designation of the fund balance.
I had several nice presentations for you today, but technology bested me. So in the very back of your packet is the designation of the fund balance. So for those listening, the purpose of the designation of the fund balance is to roll over operational expenses from fiscal year to fiscal year. You see FY '25 listed as well as FY '26. The fund balance, or the change in the fund balance, is $155,445, taking the fund balance up to $3,933,209. You see there are some committed funds as well as restricted funds for locations. One change this year in the fund balance is based on our conversations with our internal auditor, as well as because of our regional agreement. Last year we put in 10% of our operating costs. We put 10% into the unassigned, effectively our emergency fund. This year we raised it to 18%. Because of our regional agreement, we pay for all of the stuff that goes on inside the branches when it comes to furnishings, things like that. Because we have some on the horizon over the next several years, some of those refresh projects we've talked about in our board meetings here, we decided to bring that up to 18%, which is towards the high side of the unrestricted. So that's one change you'll see this fiscal year in our proposed fund balance budget. Any questions on that?
Can you talk a little bit towards unassigned balances?
So basically, it's earmarked as effectively an emergency fund. The other money is more for, and you'll see it listed there, assigned as kind of capital projects, meaning, you think of a refresh of a space, could be from that. A renovation project, for example, a purchase of a large vehicle, for example, could come from that. Whereas the auditor recommends that every year we keep between 10 and 20% of our operating into a emergency fund, effectively. So it's not, if you don't want to think about it as something to spend from. You never want to get below that number. So it's basically kind of the bare minimum of what we want in the reserve fund at any given time.
And this is something that we have to approve every year in order for the audit to go forward. So we need to have that breakdown for us to approve it to be part of the audit that's going session. Correct? Yeah. My only question is, are we going to keep some of these things on the side, like the future admin capital project? I know that's something that we kind of moved funds from before. Is that something we need to continue to keep on this list? Okay.
Not particularly.
I'm basically numbers, given that last year. I didn't know if I could just Yeah.
Or, okay.
I would say, but if the board approves the budget with the reflection of that change, I mean, it's a board action. I would, yeah, because the fund balance is a board action. We can't do anything with the fund balance unless the board approves, whether it's spending, whether it's putting money in, both of those
Yeah.
are required.
Well, I would like us to see us clean it up a little bit.
Sure.
I'd like us to take out under committed Atlee branch and Ashland branch. I mean, those are there because we had them in the wrong space, and they've been moved to restricted. So if we could remove those two under committed, if we could then remove eventually the admin rent, I mean, it could be okay for FY, this is 26. Did we use it in 20?
We did not because the county picked it up in this budget.
Okay,
So it going forward, this is only here because of the comparison.
okay, right.
So
So
next
as-
year, admin rent, as long as our
Goes
county
off.
partners continue to approve the budget, it should be covered.
Okay, great. So, and then the admin capital project under committed should also be removed. Yep. And then under assigned, I mean, we can keep the books and materials since we do sometimes go back to it. I mean, I'm okay to keep a couple of things, but not like the things that we've moved to other areas where we've gotten rid of. And then under assigned, the future admin capital projects removed. And then I believe the unanticipated expenses, isn't that what our unassigned?
Well, the unassigned, you think of it as an emergency fund, like, break in case of fire, kind of glass.
Yes.
So the way I mentally think of that one is don't even think about it as spendable. You could spend it if there was a flood and we just had that money.
Right.
Or some major event and we did not have the reserve fund that we do.
But can we get rid of the unanticipated expenses under assigned?
The only thing that I think is useful to have one kind of miscellaneous catch-all.
Always do your miscellaneous on the part.
So in my mind,
like
as long as there's
junk drawer.
something there,
Okay.
I think we just want something.
Okay, so we'll leave the unanticipated expenses and the future capital projects as the only two under assigned.
We're taking
Okay?
out admin, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, because going forward, that
There
won't
won't
be paid by the board with reserve funds, it'll be paid by our county partner.
Okay? Any questions about any of that? Do I have a motion to approve the designation of the fund balance based on those changes in the, actions to the side?
So moved.
Barbara Swan, second.
Thank you for that second. All those in favor of approving the designation of the fund balance document, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you very much. So I do realize we're running up against a time crunch here for one of our members, and once she leaves, we will no longer have a quorum.
You do not need to, so we need to go into closed session then, is that right?
Well, I'm thinking that we should probably delay that closed session until next month's
Is that
meeting.
gonna affect you at all? If we delay the closed session?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're okay with me moving forward with what has been proposed already, without, board action, I'm fine with it.
I apologize. I mean, I got 5 more minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. So, with the draft strategic plan,
Yeah, everybody has a copy in front of them, and I know when I sent it out to the board, what I'm really looking for is feedback. This is a draft. This is based on all of the comments from the public, the staff, the board over the last many months as we've been working on this. This is effectively kind of a workshop for us to talk about specific things you think you want that are not here, aesthetic changes. I'm continuing to revise as I find there's occasionally an error. I even see printing errors in this one here. So what comments, feedback, suggestions, anything?
Okay, I have one for number 3.
Okay.
I think we need to include, and I think we need to make it more intentional, is to include the training together. That we need to include staff training, on technology as a training.
I intentionally kept almost all of the stuff that is focused on professional development, staff side stuff out. The reason I did that is not because it's not a focus, it is. It's because to be honest, a strategic plan that goes into staff training, it has value, but it's, for the public looking at this document, this is kind of a vision statement. And the public don't necessarily care about the library offering training on the new technology we're getting in.
Well, the only reason I was thinking it should be included was that the staff needs to have that training in order to work with the public.
Yeah.
You know, they need to have the knowledge that, yes, this is how you use AI. You know, or this is, you know, this new equipment that we're now putting out to the public, you know, let me show you how this actually works. I was thinking of it more in terms of
How it can benefit the
how they
patient.
could, how they could support the public.
Okay.
You know, getting the training, having enough training, you know, for them, so that, you know, we don't put something new in and they don't know how to use it. You know, and the public doesn't know how to use it. So that was the only reason I said that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's important that we don't necessarily have to be a part of this, but somehow or another, the word something to say that, you know, we're making sure that the staff will be updated too.
Yeah, it's really about building a good team too, because it gives us the ability to kind of like invest in their education or training or webinars or whatever, if as needed.
I really want, I was thinking I'm gonna ask you, I really like
Oh, outreach, yeah, yeah.
I like that.
Mike, this is excellent, it's really excellent. I do have a question about technology and visual access. Unless I missed it, I saw no mention of hotspots.
They're not specifically in here.
Technology.
I have some catch-alls. In fact, it's
I thought that, but I was
Yeah.
wondering
Yeah.
if people are kind of funny about that, and they might be looking for that. Do you think it needs to be mentioned?
part of the reason I didn't put a lot of specifics that I could have. Like, for example, in outreach.
Yeah, we can get very specific about outreach.
You'll notice that nowhere on outreach does it say the specifics of, like, a bookmobile, for example.
Right.
And I left some of the specifics because the reality is 5 years from now, the technology could be dramatically different. And I don't, and so I don't want to list something like hotspots as something that's now married into our strategic plan. So instead, it's about kind of the opportunity to do things like just bigger picture.
Okay.
I guess is my point.
All right.
I try not to get into too many specifics because I do not want to marry us to something that now we have in our guiding principles here in this document, that then we're like 5 years from now, man, nobody's checking out hotspots anymore because everyone has fiber or whatever. Like I didn't want to lock us in if we don't have to do it.
Yeah, I understand. I was just thinking as a person looking at this one, I don't think it's a hotspot. I was thinking in a way that.
No.
Okay, but I understand the bigger. Well, I was just going to say, let's try to deal with any kind of like big picture issues. I have a lot of like little things I want to ask Zach, and I'm going to ask him that after the meeting.
Let me ask
But
you
are there
this.
any big pictures?
Is there any opportunity for us, or do you feel any need for us to have a workshop on this, an hour workshop?
That's what I hope today.
We don't have to.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I would assume this has to be in public session. I'm 90-something% sure
Let me ask you
that
this.
any of this conversation would want to be in a public session.
How about if we were to, and certainly discussions continue, but is there any reason why we couldn't ask the board, give the board a little homework, because we all pretty read this by now.
Yeah.
We know the physical interest. But, and send comments via email. So is there any value in that?
I'm fine with that. In fact, that's what I'm going to do a little different, but I'm going to do that with the staff. As soon as this meeting is done, I have a draft sitting in my email. I wanted to present it to you guys first, but all the staff are going to get the same thing. And I basically built a Google form where every page effectively has a tied-in Google form where it's like, what comments do you have on the introduction page, the letter to the community, like every one. So it gives you guys the ability to do that same type of thing as well.
I would love that, because I'd really like to spend more time with this in terms of
Ben make notes.
Sure.
And I don't know, once again, I don't want to add more work to your plate, but if you compile, as you will for the staff, I guess, compile all the notes, and then
Yeah.
we can come back and just say, well, these are the comments and the changes and whatever.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, I have one other question about next step. And do we really, and I'm asking this, isn't, you were, I have not done the strategic plan at the library.
Yeah.
This is my second year. So, do we then each year go through this and say, this is our plan for this year as to how we intend to?
Yes, so every year, so once this document is done, there is kind of an action plan for each year. Now, it's not changing the strategic plan, and it's more of a process instead of a policy. So it's how is the library executing on doing our goals in technology and digital access, outreach, like because all of this is baby steps for a 5-year process. Yeah.
All right, I'm fine to continue this discussion a little bit. We can't vote on anything. So before Barbara leaves, could I have a motion that we move
Before
the
you do
closed?
that, I'd like to, one more discussion.
Well, I'd like to come back to this today. I don't want to stop this, because I want to let it go a little bit longer. But I just want to get a motion that we move the closed session to our next meeting in September. So all right, thank you, Barbara. Do I have a second? Second, Rudy, thank you. Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, we are going to move that closed session portion to the next meeting. And then we are going to continue with a little bit of a draft strategic plan discussion after Barbara's done.
So there will be an opportunity to send responses.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah, I'll build it out for you guys as well.
you had mentioned that you would like to receive responses within the next 30 days, right, Sam?
My goal is I would like to pass this in October, so that way it's off our plate. If we don't have a quorum in October, then we also have the December 5th meeting we could punt it to.
That's further on in the year.
Exactly.
And back to you up.
This has to be done by the end of the year per my evaluation.
Okay.
Which we haven't passed
Well,
yet.
everybody, I apologize.
That's true, we could.
I apologize for having.
No, you're fine.
All right, is there anything else we need to do before Barbara leaves? I don't think so, right? I mean, adjourn, but we can.
We're going to continue the discussion.
Yes. All right, so let's go back and continue.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Discussion
Good seeing
on
you.
this draft strategic plan. First, before we get to maybe any stylistic things or whatever, are there any issues with content that you still need to address?
Yes, I do. And I'm very, I'm probably speaking for Jerry on this as well. One of the things that you'll appreciate is, I'm sure you're familiar with the 5-year plan for the library within the
Yes, I can, yeah.
I'm sure you know that. One of the key strategies of that plan is, and I'm kind of reading, support staff excellence through recruitment, training, and professional engagement, which you have beautifully illustrated and presented to us today. You do. That vision, is that, and so said the goal is part of a broader effort to, what you said, about exemplary stewardship of the collections and investigation models for collective development. Good to our staff. Good to you, leading them. So this LSTA 5-year plan, you read it. Can you do this? I believe it's a great model for the next section in the strategic plan, section number 7, where we're at.
Yeah.
I think, and that is a mention of, for instance, staff developmental technology systems. Because you, and using your words, you intentionally left it out. I think conversely, it needs to be intentionally included based on the library within the 5-year strategic plan from 25 to 29. Humbly speaking. Not having a master's degree, always play a library on TV.
No, I mean,
Do you agree?
I agree, and I am, I'll say document is made with, what my preference is, in the sense that this is all stuff that was feedback from, the community and everything. Stylistically, these were kind of what I thought. And the only reason I left out because some strategic plans, like you mentioned, are good example. They do focus on staff. The reason,
The library is all about staff.
100%,
Without the staff, there is no library.
yeah, agreed.
There's no access.
And the only reason I really wanted to make sure, because I think this has been a gap before I arrived and even since I've arrived, is making the community take ownership and feel like this is their library system. We're doing what they want. Now, the average community member who comes into the library, the stuff that's like HR kind of related, retention related, professional development related, it has value that all of us could say this string here affects the public here. But it's almost, without sounding derogatory, it's almost egg-headed. Like, it's just so far up here in the clouds that I intentionally thought, I'm not going to focus on it. I want them to focus on the benefits that they will see. These are all tangible things. We bought a bookmobile because of the strategic plan. That's a tangible thing. A new piece of technology coming in, a new self-checking thing, whereas, like, tuition reimbursement, hugely valuable. But it's not something that come in touch. So that's the only reason I left it out. I do agree with you, though. It does have a lot of value because it also tells the story of what we're doing. Because a lot of this is going on behind the scenes where the public has no idea that we're investing all these things in the staff, in the training.
You've been at the 27 years age, and I would, I don't want to use this become an argue, but I would submit that facing the public is not ever disability. It's Kate, it's Janet, it's your deputy, it's all the people collectively, the hundreds of staff that we have, that are the front face of the services that we provide. And without that, the looks like what we have on the front here, the picture of the building. It's full. I love it. It's a beautiful format, but it needs a face. You are the face. The people at the front desk are the face. Let's show the community who they're supporting. They're not just supporting paper and books and digital assets. They come to the library because we provide the stories. We support their families. We're literally another form of counseling. For those people with all the kids that you mentioned during the summer that don't have an activity, and maybe they're not into sports or whatever, but they love to read. That's why our numbers are up. Because the people that are in the system, the volunteers, the friends, the people, staff, humbly the board, are there to support that. It has to be. And the library of Virginia knows that, and they make it a priority. Why don't we? That's my case. That's the business. Library of Virginia is the business model. We go to them for senior leadership, for vision. They think it's an important part of their vision for the future. Why shouldn't it be ours? I'm just asking.
Everything you said, I'm sitting here like a bobblehead. I'm nodding. I'm like, preach, Lindsay, preach.
I appreciate it.
There you go.
It's a business model that we want to promote. And the only way to promote it is not through paper, but through people. The people are our greatest treasure. And you know what? I'll tell you from experience. When I interviewed for management roles in other state agencies, one of the first things that I did was I went to the website and I looked up the strategic plan to see how I play an important role in your strategic plan. Ours is missing. And all the things that you said are so valuable. It's so important. You're doing a yeoman's job in promoting the people that make all of these strategic plan services so important and valuable. Or without them, they're not represented here. Then it's really, it's a three-legged stool in the sense that there are
cut the staff when you come into the building, right? So it is something that, even with you guys talking about the number of questions decreasing, because people are having their questions answered. So they are getting a certain level of customer service, and they can see the improvement in that kind of stuff. And maybe it means that, we do kind of an annual survey where we get people's feedback or whatever to show that we are, that people are happy with the customer service as part of that assessment of whether we're meeting that kind of strategic goal or anything.
That's why we think it's so important that we focus on strategic human resources management by at some point possibly hiring this professional. Why? To serve the public better. That's the only reason we would want to do that. And it's so important that we want to let the community know we're hiring the best people for your community and Houston. That knows Houston, that loves Houston, that are here to service Houston. It doesn't have to be a job. And you have a beautiful way of making it personal. And for our libraries are personal. They come here for salt, for food, and for knowledge. Even Asian.
We've been here over 10 years. We've seen it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's over for it.
Where are you from?
For me, one of the things that stood out, that's kind of like a directional thing, is the growing the library of food and local materials. And I know we already do some things, like I'm assuming, are you including like hotspots and laptops already kind of in that area? I saw there was a goal of adding 500 plus blendable items.
So right now, with our hotspots, we're a little over 100. So the goal would be, what do we add in as a library thing, without getting into specifics of what,
Yeah.
but saying there are things that the community would benefit from us circulating out.
Right.
That could be, when the library leadership team and I talked, we talked about some of the suggestions that the public has given us in the town halls and in the surveys. And it is largely based on, community libraries that are our neighbors. Well, Wrightdale has this or has this. And there's definitely things that we could offer to the public that are currently not being offered. And so that's kind of the goal of let's expand that muscle.
So would the idea be that the administrative location would house those items, or would they be housed in libraries?
Like right now, for example, our collection strategies and support services department has an in process in all of our hotspots. As an example. Now, since they basically move constantly, they don't usually have a lot. We do have like book kits, talk kits that book clubs can check out, so we have those stored downstairs. One of the goals of, and I've talked to the managers about this, space is always at a premium in every branch. So whatever we add is going to have to be really intentionally done so that we're not, and I forget who it is. One of our neighbors has, what do you call it? Not a telescope. You look at the sky and you look at the moon. No, it's like you put your eye in it and look up at the sky.
Telescope.
Telescope. Okay, I read it. Okay. Somebody, and I forget who it is, but they circulate telescopes, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then immediately the practical side of me said, how do we store a bunch of telescopes in a 90? It's tough. We do have park kits. We just in process some of our museum kits that we just did with the Science Museum where we'll cook them. I showed you guys the placard last time. So there are those type of things that are very valuable for the community, but not a big storage.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of working through the logistics of whatever we would add in.
Right. Not just storage, but like maintenance.
Yeah.
Liability, like if we're talking power tools and we're like lending them out, so there's like all of those kind of back pieces, which, I think we need to be strategic about what things And I've been to some places like near New York City where my sister lives, where they have a library of things in the library, and I walk by shelves that are completely chaotic, like there's no, like it's just stuff laying on a shelf, and I'm like, oh, this is not very aesthetically pleasing, so we would have to think about like how we go about that, if you're doing games, missing pieces. I mean, there's just so many like additional
I
factors.
worked at a previous system that did board games, it took
Yes.
13 board
Yes.
games, which sounds good in principle,
Yes.
and then you realize that every time it comes back in, you have to check the thing for all the pieces.
Right.
And holy moly, what a that. I was just sitting this is a seat on that.
Yes, well, I just want to get involved in that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so there needs to be some like strategic planning as to
Exactly.
what are the things that are going to get us the most bang for our buck. And I'm assuming this would come from the collections budget since it's in the collections
Yeah.
area. Okay.
Likely, I mean, if it was something like hotspots are not in the
Right,
collections
right,
budget. So it could be something different, but depending on what we would be adding, it could come from there.
Okay. So I don't know, I think the 500 is very like a noble goal, but I like the way that it's listed in strategic priorities better with continue expanding this lending collection. And then as you expand it out year by year, maybe then like saying you'd like to expand by 50 this year, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like instead of setting a goal of
One thing-
500 plus.
And one thing I did in this earlier draft was I took out some of the specifics of what we would do to kind of increase things. So for example, originally I had done more measurables of like, we want to increase our circulation by 20% over 5 years. We want to see 20% more programming. And because I'm a numbers guy, I like to see the stats. But I also, it is difficult sometimes to put in specific numbers where we have no ability to actually manage the participation from the public. There are some things we can do. We can say we want to add, we want to add materials into our collection. And that's kind of a philosophical goal. But sometimes, and we saw this with Baker and Taylor when they went bankrupt, if we have a specific number and we can't literally put books on the shelf for 6 months, it's difficult to hit a metric, a specific metric, for a certain time. So it's more, we want to continue to increase instead of we want to increase it by 20%. We kind of took out some of those multiple, those specific
I
numbers.
like your success when you run into the how do we measure it?
Yeah.
What if we use it or not, so, yeah.
Well, and that's why I think it's good to build that maybe more into the year-by-year model. Because you know, you have the better idea, what am I dealing with in fiscal year 27, and then, fiscal year 28 a little bit down the line, so you can add in some more of those details at that part of the strategic plan.
Well, and part of the scar tissue that sits on my career too is I was working on strategic plan and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And there were 3 categories that COVID eliminated almost entirely. And so there is an element where and we just said, you know what, life changes, we're moving on. But so some of that is still in my mind professionally too. It's like we need to do something that is durable through the challenges that will come. We just don't know what they always are, but they will come.
Anyone have anything else that's more kind of big picture? I have one more thing, and that's just the way that we market ourselves with like logos and branding and those kind of things. Is that kind of part of where you are planning to take marketing in the next few years, or what's the?
We will work in the next year on upgrading our logo. It hasn't been touched in years. All of our branding going forward, and this is intentional, and I'll give you a reason why in a second. All of our stuff going forward will say serving Hanover and Houston County. I was having an interaction with a citizen recently at a library, and I won't out them. But we were talking, and they said, well, what do you do? I said, oh, I'm the library director of Smoky Regional Library. And they said, oh, so why are you here? And I said, well, this branch is one of Smoky's branches. Oh, I didn't know that. And they said, I there's no timing. There's no, which is why, on the flyer that I made for the library card sign-up day, it lists the branches. So going forward, just make sure we're intentional. It's not the Rockville branch. It's Pamunkey Regional Library's Rockville branch. It's, it's Pamunkey. We are putting ourselves forward in tier 2 research because right now the correlation is not always there. You've been going to the Ashland branch for 20 years, but you're not correlating that it's Pamunkey. And it's because our sign on the door, as some of you have seen, is changed. It's small. So those are going to be concentrated on in the future.
Well, there are many people who use Rockville. People roughly accept the same. It's closer to, people in Centerville than this is. And we have people in that Centerville area that never come here directly.
Well, it's funny, not to share my schedule today, and I hope I don't have to push it back, but at 2 o'clock I had a meeting with 2 staff members back in the office to talk about marketing. So these pieces are all interlinked.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and of course, when I look at the strategic plan, like, I see some branding choices.
I'm trying things out.
Yeah, some color changes, right? I mean, the green's a little bit different than what the green's been in the past. The logos, the tree,
You'll
I'm
even see
seeing that.
different versions of a logo in there, and it's because I'm like, and because this is a working document, I'm like, I want to see how this looks. And so
Okay,
it's
but
kind
we're
of
gonna try to
complicated.
I
Everything
noticed
will be
that too.
standard.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
The different kinds of books.
Yes, yeah.
With the open square.
And I even have the old logo in there in some spots too, and so it's kind of like, what looks good?
Okay, so
yeah.
we're not going to be, we're gonna be coordinated when this
Yes.
comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's
I wanted to make sure of that.
even the language in a couple places. Originally, I had put in Goochland and Hanover alphabetically. The librarian in me forces me to do it alphabetically, but then I made the intentional choice of changing it to Hanover and Goochland just because of size. Because 6 of our 7 branches, and so then I went back and changed, but I missed a few spots where I actually did change it. So anyway, there are tweaks in here that I've kind of already written down and everything.
So what's the progress?
Okay, good. So we're not gonna,
This is
yeah.
a draft, and yeah, it's definitely,
It's wonderful.
well, it's a draft.
You really are on top of it. I like your idea of releasing it.
I did, last Friday, I was in a meeting with my peers, in writing, and I passed it around, and showed it to them. And these are all library directors, most of them have been, but a couple of them have been library directors longer than probably I've been one. And I was showing them and talking to them about it, and talking to them about it, and to a T, all of them said, one of them even asked me for my template, and I said, well, I kind of made it.
Just trying to give it to them.
So, anyway,
Let's do it here.
Okay.
I think you've done a wonderful, this is wonderful.
So what I'll do then is I will send you this document individually, but I will also include a form where you guys can put in your feedback, and it can be big stuff like, Ruby, we talked about kind of that staff focus side, or it could be like, he spelled something wrong, or what, it can be big, small, it doesn't matter. So I'll
Quotation marks.
yeah,
Yes,
there you go. I know
I
that,
have that one too.
I knew there was tweaks.
You didn't ask us to edit it, but that's like,
No, that's
my
perfect.
personality.
I was just gonna say there, I said the last thing there. I'm sorry, I did not have to do this.
Do you want to say anything about this document?
I
Scott?
do. The reason I groomed it is because I knew we were pressed on time for Barb and everything. So I did skip it in director's time. I have here, this is something new I did this year. This will allow us kind of that marketing piece a little better. We're going to print these up professionally and have them in the branches. Yeah. It basically shows our year in review, looking back at the fiscal year of 2026, so it shows all of our numbers. 414,000 library visits, 364,000 items borrowed. We have 46,000 active borrowers. We had almost 75,000 people attend programs system-wide. Questions asked, almost 350,000 questions. Now that could be anything from where's the restroom to I'm trying to find, some old newspaper for genealogy research, and everything in between. So that's a big broad category.
And your staff is trained to log any question that's asked
They
in
are-
their work
Yes,
flow.
Yep, so when the public interacts with them, in that kind of question, then they're marked. We had over 32,000 public computer uses, so, the public is still, heavily coming in to use us for everything from Wi-Fi, computer use. We had 2,500 volunteer hours donated last year, so that's a big indictment that the community really loves supporting us. And we had 5,500 new library cards in this last fiscal year. So these numbers are really just designed to kind of highlight what we're doing in the big picture. Now, every one of these categories is broken out in more detail in the subsequent numbers. I'll just hit on a few of the things that are interesting to me, highlighting. So on the second page, when you look at circulation breakdown, physical materials, 502,000 items were checked out. That's 76% of our circulation was coming from physical materials. 25%, though, almost, is digital. That number has grown pretty rapidly. In one of the other pages I tracked, if you go back year-over-year comparison, I had a little blurb. Where is it?
No, it's actually
Oh,
on the
it's-
third page, right? Under technology impact,
Yeah.
you have the digital circulation growth.
Yes, okay, thank you. The digital circulation growth, it shows you multiple years. So you've seen a 71% increase just in 2021 in our digital resources. One of the things that you'll all have noticed from the budget is the spending, particularly on Hoopla and Overdrive. That's how they listed out the warrant. It's almost 50% of our collection is going towards those digital content. I did have a meeting at the director's meeting, and I won't divulge who because it's not necessarily made public, but other libraries are heavily, if digital content is hurting, they're looking at ways where they can cut back, maybe not for their patrons, but particularly reciprocal borrowers. There are two systems that are our neighbors that are going to, by the end of the year, it sounds like, pass changes to their library fund user agreement to eliminate the ability of somebody who does not live in the community of borrowing digital content. And the reason is pretty simple. Most patrons do not know this, but an item can cost as much as $5 per checkout if they That's big, especially when you add it up over time. Part of the reason that I changed the fee structure when we did our out-of-area card users, a lot of people want to buy library cards, but, if you look at the old fees, they could be set up in a very short amount of time. So it's kind of interesting that number. Something that previous administration has done, kind of lowered that Hoopla number down. I think our numbers are good right now, but it is something to just kind of keep in the back of our brains for the future, because depending on how things go, every public library is fighting this exactly. This is not new.
Has been bothering us.
So, Zach, I really like this. What's your focus as far as getting this out? Like, where is this going to go?
We're going to publish this on the website, but also I got to talk to Brett in my next one-on-one, but I would like to we'll send this to the supervisors and show up at the meeting coming up in the fall, and at least go over these numbers.
Yeah.
We're gonna have this professionally printed, so we'll have them in the branch. We're gonna do a version. I made up a version, kind of like this front page, but it's like a bookmark that we can professionally print and hand it out to the public, so that way we're selling our story. At least to highlight it when they come in. Oh, would you like a bookmark? Here you go. And then they see, you have 500,000 seconds. Like, so we're just gonna sell you the number. Because otherwise, if the document
especially love the last page where you kind of go over what's changed, in this year. Like, I think that's a really good overview, especially for like a board of supervisor member who's maybe not so aware that you've got some of these, and you've got some future initiatives too, so I really like that piece. So have you said you haven't printed these yet?
No,
Okay.
not
So-
like this yet.
The only comments that I have is, I feel like it needs to have some kind of year, like some, like Sierra Audit Land 2026 or
2026,
something.
yeah.
So that there's a frame of reference as far as what you're referring to. And then again, the Hanover Blueprint thing appears on the last page of my Hanover stuff, making sure we're consistent with that. I do. It's a branding thing, like, you know,
Good
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
My son like family produced because they're now pushing against the door. And as Christy said, this last page is beautiful, I love it. And specifically, 1, 2, and 3 support my case for adding strategic leadership, investing in our people, and organizational transformation as we add leader
Yeah.
into our strategic plan.
Yeah.
You just made the case for me right here.
It's already been transformed, so that's.
Transforming.
I'm
It was,
Yeah.
it's a process.
And that
Yes,
would be a great
Yeah.
logo for that section. Transforming our library.
And we could even have these printed out and on big poster board and put up.
Because if you want the leadership to extend through A and through all the people here, to develop their own leadership style to meet these strategic goals. That's the whole point.
Okay, well, I think we do have something going on here. So, let's go ahead, and anybody who has any comments can talk to me back after. So,